Okay, let's unpack this. We're about to dive into a market that might sound, well, a little specific, maybe even like a pure luxury item.
Hmm.
But trust us, the numbers, they tell a really big story. We're talking about the global rooftop decking market today.
That's right. And we've got this forecast report with all the revenue insights, the projections. Our mission really is to figure out the why.
Exactly.
Why is something that, often feels like just an amenity actually becoming, well, almost a necessity globally, especially in cities.
Right. It seems counterintuitive, but the growth is there.
Hmm.
So we'll look at the big picture, drill down into different regions, see what's driving it.
And this is where it gets genuinely interesting, I think, because when you look at these figures, you're seeing more than just decks. It's a transformation of urban space.
Okay, so let's start there. The global view.
Yeah.
So the report suggests this isn't just about, fancy penthouses anymore. It's moved from luxury to functional necessity, especially as cities get denser.
Absolutely, and the numbers back that up. The global market reached, $4,469.4 million in 2021, so just under $4.5 billion.
Almost $4.5 billion. Okay.
And it's not a fleeting trend. That's projected to grow to about $5.6 billion by 2025.
Still climbing.
But here's the really big jump. The forecast sees it hitting $8,791.7 million by 2033, nearly $8.8 billion.
Wow. Okay, so that's a compound annual growth rate, a CAGR of 5.8% over that whole period?
Exactly, 5.8%, which, for something that sounds kind of niche, that's pretty healthy, sustained growth.
Definitely signals a bigger shift, doesn't it? A significant ongoing investment worldwide.
It really does. It's not just one or two hotspots. Demand's up globally. Okay, so let's look at who's leading the pack right now.
Right. Market share. North America comes out strong, yeah. The report puts them at about $1.75 billion in revenue back in 2021.
And they're expected to hold that lead. Projections take North America to over $2.1 billion by 2025 and then over $3.1 billion by 2033.
Okay, and their growth rate.
Solid. A 4.9% CAGR. Consistent.
And if we look inside North America,
Yeah.
the U.S. is obviously a huge piece of that, going from, $1.36 billion in 2021 up to a projected $2.36 billion by 2033.
That's the lion's share, for sure. But Canada's growing a bit faster, actually.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, expected to more than double its 2021 number. Should reach over $530 million by 2033.
Okay. And Mexico.
Mexico really stands out in the region, a very strong growth path there. Shows a 6.9% CAGR.
Wow, nearly 7%.
Yeah. Climbing from just under $110 million in 2021 to nearly $250 million by 2033. That suggests, some specific drivers kicking in, maybe linked to development trends we'll touch on.
Right. Okay, so let's shift gears. Europe, another major player, I
It's
said.
definitely another major established market, valued at over $1.3 billion in 2021.
And the growth outlook.
Also pretty robust. Estimated to reach over $1.6 billion in 2025 and then past $2.5 billion by 2033. Their CAGR is 5.4%, so slightly faster than North America overall.
Okay, and within Europe, any
Yeah.
key countries jumping out?
Well, several big contributors. The UK, for instance, is projected to grow to over $370 million by 2033. Germany. The source actually mentions Germany's connection to green architecture trends.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Germany's projected to hit over $450 million. France also showing solid growth, expected around $367 million.
What about places like Italy, Russia?
Strong growth paths there, too, both projected to roughly double their 2021 market size by 2033. Italy, around $280 million. Russia, near $254 million.
Okay.
But Spain is quite dynamic, a 7.3% CAGR.
Higher than Mexico, even.
Yeah, a big jump forecast there from about $73 million to over $170 million. And then you got steady gains elsewhere, like the rest of Europe category expanding significantly, too.
It's really interesting how these, established urban centers in North America and Europe keep showing such consistent demand.
It is, and like we said about Germany, the report links this growth not just to people wanting nice terraces, but also things like green building practices, usable rooftop space becoming more standard, maybe.
Less of an optional extra, more integrated into design.
Exactly. Functionality, sustainability, it's becoming part of city planning and building codes in these regions.
Okay, so established markets are strong, growing steadily,
Yeah.
but
This audio was created with Podcastle.ai.
established markets are strong, growing steadily,
Yeah.
but where's the really fast acceleration happening?
For that, you have to look east. Asia Pacific, the report flags it as the fastest growing region globally.
Right, I remember seeing that headline figure. What was the CAGR?
An impressive 7.2%.
Wow.
Yeah. So the market there was just over $1 billion in 2021, but it's projected to hit nearly $2.4 billion by 2033. That's a huge expansion rate.
And China must be a massive part of that equation.
Absolutely dominates the region's growth, projected to more than double its 2021 size, should reach over $900 million by 2033.
Incredible scale. But you mentioned fastest growing. Is there a particular country driving that pace?
Yes, India. The report forecasts India's market growing at an astounding 8.5% CAGR.
8.5%.
8.5, rocketing from about $121 million in 2021 to over $320 million by 2033. That pace it's one of the absolute fastest highlighted anywhere in the data.
That is really striking. What about other key players there? Japan, Australia.
Japan shows steady growth, projected near $400 million. South Korea and Australia are also significant markets, both expected over $190 million by 2033.
Okay.
And the report also makes a specific note about Southeast Asia, linking its growth to basically needing rooftop space in those incredibly high-density cities.
That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it, the density factor?
It really does. When cities get that dense, sometimes the only way to add usable outdoor space, leisure areas, maybe even urban farms, is up.
So rooftop decking just becomes the default solution almost.
Pretty much, especially where ground level space is just unavailable or incredibly expensive.
Okay, so we've got the leaders, the fastest growers. What about emerging potential? Latin America.
Yeah, the report shows steady progress there too, a healthy CAGR over 5%. Brazil is key, projected to grow from $82 million to over $185 million. And then countries like Argentina, Colombia, Peru, Chile, all flagged as expanding at over 5% CAGR as well.
And the Middle East and Africa. Any potential there?
Definitely promising trajectories. Egypt stands out again, with growth mirroring Asia-Pacific's pace in percentage terms. A 7.2% to AGR, going from $13 million to $29 million.
Same rate as the whole APAC region. Wow.
Yeah. Turkey is expected to reach nearly $74 million. And the report connects this growth, particularly in these emerging areas, directly to commercial and hospitality sectors.
So hotels, restaurants.
Exactly. Plus mixed-use developments, big tourism infrastructure projects, they're all incorporating rooftop spaces more and more.
So if you connect that back to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
it shows how rooftop decking isn't just residential. It's really tied into economic development, urban infrastructure investment, especially in these growing economies.
Precisely. It reinforces that the market's expansion is driven by very practical needs, whether that's creating green space in Europe, like we talked about, or relieving that density pressure in Asia, or boosting commercial appeal in Latin America and the Middle East. It serves different functions.
Okay, so let's try and pull these threads together then. What's the overall takeaway from this global picture?
I think it shows a market that's, one, pretty substantial already, but two, it's set for really significant continued growth almost everywhere.
Right.
You have the established leaders, North America and Europe, holding the biggest share, driven by things like design integration, sustainability goals. Then you have Asia Pacific just exploding with growth, really fueled by that raw necessity of using every bit of space in dense cities.
And the emerging regions unlocking potential, often tied to commercial and tourism growth.
Exactly. And it all comes back to that evolution we mentioned at the start, doesn't it?
Yeah, the shift from luxury to, well, functional necessity.
Right. In modern urban spaces, it's becoming a standard way to maximize limited real estate. It's not just a nice to have anymore.
As our cities keep growing and often growing upwards, rooftop decking is providing essential usability.
And contributing to, new ways of thinking about sustainable, livable city design. It's part of that future picture.
It really is quite amazing how digging into the numbers for something like rooftop decking reveals so much about these bigger global trends, development pressures, how we live in cities.
Definitely. We've seen the size, the growth leaders like North America and Europe, the fastest growers in Asia Pacific, the potential elsewhere, all linked to different facets of urban life.
So thinking about all those different drivers, green rules, density, tourism, and that clear shift from luxury to necessity, it does make you wonder, doesn't it?
What's the final thought then?
Well, considering how cities are scrambling for space, what other, maybe overlooked parts of urban infrastructure might be poised for this kind of sustained global growth? How else are we going to use limited urban space in the next decade?
That's a great question. Something to ponder next time you're looking up at a skyline, perhaps?
Okay, let's get started. Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking upwards, you could say. We're digging into the rooftop decking market,
That's right. It's a fascinating space, literally.
and we're basing this on insights from Cognitive Market Research's report, The Rooftop Decking Market, Trends and Challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Our plan is to unpack what's pushing the growth, what makes it tricky, and, the cool new stuff happening.
Sounds good.
So maybe start with the why. Why are we suddenly seeing decks pop up on roofs everywhere? What's the core driver?
Yeah, well, it really comes down to how we're living in cities now. Space is tight, right?
Denser and denser.
Exactly. So that rooftop, which used to be just, empty space holding HVAC units, suddenly looks really valuable. People want outdoor areas. Think luxury apartments needing a private escape or office buildings wanting a cool lounge space.
Right. Turning dead space into something usable.
And that means a huge demand for materials that look great, but are also, frankly,
This audio was created with Podcastle.ai.
and for materials that look great, but are also, frankly, tough enough for that environment.
Okay, so reclaiming space. And it's not just residential, is it? You mentioned commercial, but hospitality seems like a big player too.
Oh, absolutely. Hotels, restaurants, those trendy sky lounges, event venues, they need these kinds of spaces. They have to handle lots of people, constant weather exposure, but still give off that high-end vibe. Rooftop decks are perfect for that. They add serious appeal.
Makes sense. And I'm guessing this links up with the whole green building movement, sustainability and all that.
It really does. You see these green architecture projects, maybe they're aiming for LEED certification or something similar. They're designing rooftops much more holistically now. You might have decking alongside solar panels, maybe a green roof section, rainwater harvesting.
Integrated systems.
Exactly, and that pushes demand for sustainable decking options, recycled composites, bamboo, things like that. It's definitely changing how we think about building envelopes.
Okay, so the drivers are pretty clear. Make use of space, adding value, and fitting into sustainability goals. But, putting a deck way up on a roof, it sounds a lot harder than just building one in the backyard. What are the roadblocks?
Yeah, that's a really key point. It's way more complex. Installation costs are higher, for starters. You need really good waterproofing, like absolutely critical. Otherwise, you get leaks into the building below.
Nightmare scenario.
It's a total nightmare. Then there's structural reinforcement. The roof itself has to be able to safely hold the weight, the deck, furniture, snow load, people. And distributing that weight correctly is crucial. You can't just pile everything in one spot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the upfront cost is significant.
So it's not just buying the planks, it's all the engineering underneath.
Precisely. And then you've got ongoing maintenance. Wood especially takes a beating up there. But maybe the biggest challenge, particularly in older cities, is the building itself. Many just weren't designed for that extra load.
Right. Retrofitting must be tough.
Incredibly tough. Expensive, too. And sometimes you hit regulatory hurdles like building codes in historic districts that just say no or make it prohibitively costly.
And the weather. It's just brutal up there, isn't it?
Yeah.
No shelter.
None at all. Full sun, massive temperature swings, wind, driving rain, freeze-thaw cycles. It just hammers the materials. It speeds up degradation like crazy. Wood warps, splinters, fades. Cheaper stuff might crack. You really need top-tier premium materials, which bumps the cost up again.
Okay, so challenges are definitely there. How's the industry tackling these? What are the innovations making it more feasible?
This is where it gets interesting. Composite materials have been, frankly, a game changer.
Like the wood plastic stuff.
Yeah, wood plastic composites, recycled polymers, that kind of thing. They directly address the durability and maintenance issues. They perform really well, last much longer than traditional wood, and need very little upkeep. That's a huge shift in the market.
Low upkeep is always a win.
Always. And we're also seeing modular systems become really popular, particularly for commercial projects. Think like interlocking tiles or pre-made panels. They go in quick, you can arrange them flexibly, and they're easier to repair or even change later.
Faster installation, easier fixes. Makes sense. Are they getting smarter too, integrating tech?
Definitely seeing that trend. Things like built-in drainage systems right in the deck panels or designs that seamlessly accommodate weatherproof furniture. Even sensor-based lighting systems becoming part of the package. It's about bringing that smart building intelligence outdoors.
Function is vital, but people want these spaces to look good too, right? Aesthetics must be huge.
Oh, massive. Customization is key. Developers, homeowners, they see this as a statement piece, a lifestyle upgrade, or a branding element. So they're demanding specific colors, textures, finishes, things that match the building's architecture perfectly. It's not just a deck. It's a design space that adds real property value.
So it sounds like despite the hurdles, the engineering, the upside is winning out.
I think so, yeah. If you look at the trajectory with cities growing upwards and sustainability becoming more central, the rooftop decking market is definitely poised for growth. It's pushing innovation in materials, how we install things, and just how we design urban spaces. It's really changing the game.
It's pretty cool, turning these forgotten areas into valuable, livable spaces. Okay, so here's something to think about as we wrap up. If this trend really takes off, how might having all these rooftop parks, lounges, and gardens everywhere actually change, the social vibe and even the environmental footprint of our cities down the road?
This audio was created with podcastle.ai.